Project Sekai characters who probably have autism by an autistic person. Disclaimer, this video is just for fun. Don't take it too seriously. This is also not supposed to diagnose anyone with autism. If you speculate that you might have autism, go to a professional. This is also not meant to discourage headcanon characters as autistic. You can headcanon any character as autistic. Headcanons are allowed and shouldn't be stopped. Still get too mad or sad when the character you headcanon as autistic isn't here. Haruka Kiritani. Haruka definitely displays multiple symptoms of autism. She has a hyperfixation on penguins and used to struggle showing emotion as a child. Some can argue that it's just a little obsession, but she always gets crazy over penguins. It's a bit more than just a little obsession. It's a hyperfixation, a common symptom of autism. Some more instances of a hyperfixation. No, there are more instances. However, I can't find them at the moment. She also used to struggle showing emotion as a child. She wasn't able to smile until the idol came up to her, which may I note it was also another hyperfixation she had when she was younger. I'd also like to note that autism affects the female sex differently from the male sex. The female sex is typically better at masking and controlling their symptoms, so most of the time they get diagnosed later in life or never even get diagnosed. It also generally affects everyone differently, so though Haruka may not seem like the typical autistic that you often think about, she could still certainly have autism. Keep this in mind as I continue listening to characters. Ichika Hoshino. Ichika generally has a difficult time communicating, with her words often coming out the wrong way. She also has a hyperfixation on Hatsune Miku and has loved her since she was a child, which are both symptoms of autism. Her words often come out the wrong way, which is a common symptom of autism. When she means something, it often comes out in a completely different way. She also generally struggles with communication, which is why Shiho and Hanami weren't her friends even though she tried to talk to them. She also has a hyperfixation on Hatsune Miku. She only really listens to Hatsune Miku as loved her since she was a kid. Her hyperfixation on her is definitely another symptom of autism. Toya Oyagi. Toya displays multiple symptoms of autism. He doesn't understand stuff like jokes and sarcasm. He also struggles to show emotion through his expression. He also has sensory issues and a hyperfixation on arcade games. He often struggles to make faces other than his usual monotone face. His voice also doesn't really have much of an expression either. This conversation does a good job at explaining it. He also generally doesn't understand jokes or sarcasm. He doesn't really know when something is supposed to be a joke or a prank. I'd also like to add that he doesn't understand when he's making someone uncomfortable. He also has sensory issues. He dislikes squid because of the texture, which is a sign of autism, since most autistic people dislike food because of certain textures or flavors. He also has a hyperfixation on arcade games and collecting plushies for them, which is a common symptom of autism. Rui Kamishiro. I feel like Rui is one of the most autistic coded characters in the game. He has social issues, hyperfixations, has sensory issues, and does everything his own way, which are all symptoms of autism. He's definitely the most stereotypical autistic. He has had social issues since he was young, often being called a weirdo and not understanding what normal really is for others. He also has a hyperfixation on platypuses and robots. He has had these fixations since he was a kid, which is another symptom of autism. He also has sensory issues. He dislikes vegetables because of their texture and perhaps their flavor as well. He also dislikes watermelon because of the texture. It reminds him of cucumber, which means that texture for him plays a big factor in food. So he definitely has sensory issues, which is a common sign of autism. Honorable mentions. Characters who could have autism, but I couldn't find enough strong evidence to back it up, but I feel like they should still be mentioned. Hanasato Minori. Though Minori definitely shows symptoms of autism, I feel like they aren't enough to put the label of autistic. She does have hyperfixation on idols and Haruka, but you could still be hyperfixated without being autistic. Plus, I believe she can just have anime girl syndrome, which is why she didn't make the list. Shizuku Hinomori. I wanted to add her. Overall, all she really has to it is being airheaded. She's just ditzy, which isn't always a symptom of autism. Some may argue with me, but there's a lack of evidence on her being autistic. Tsukasa Tema. This might make some people mad, so bear with me. He definitely does show symptoms of autism. However, I feel like he doesn't have much evidence to back it up. Plus, I feel like he could have something else other than autism. But that's a whole different argument. Emu Otori. Again, bear with me. Her case is similar to Sukasa's. Not autistic, but maybe a neurodivergent. She does have trouble understanding certain emotions. However, she's empathetic most of the time and could have anime girl syndrome. Neno Tsunagi. This might also make some people mad as well. I believe she just has regular social anxiety and not autism. Social anxiety could be attached to autism in some cases, but I feel like she's just a gamer girl who has trouble talking to new people. Mizuki Akiyama. They do have a hyperfixation on cute stuff, but that's where it about ends. They are unaware on why people make fun of them for wanting to be cute, but I feel like that's something completely different. So I think they just have weird kid syndrome, but they might still be a neurodivergent. Finally, everyone, they're all autistic.